And now, speaking of a good egg, and if she'd like to be a premier, I'd back her in as well. Catherine McGregor, of course, from the McGregor angle, which you can see on Friday nights here at Sky News, the best brain that we've got when it comes to defence as well, mate. So part of the reaction to nuclear subs, all the rest of it, still keeps playing out. It seems that, it only lasted 2-3 days of the press being able to go and find French people that were pissed off. But here in part is what the Defence Minister has had to say about the transition to this new arrangement.
The short answer is yes. I mean, there's all of that discussion to take place in the next 12 to 18 months. And already, obviously, I've met with a number of my counterparts here from the Secretary down in terms of those that are making decisions, and we'll have further discussions with the Brits as well.
That's talking about potentially leasing subs. The angle today in The Australian was that the local defence industry could end up hitting the wall here, at least But let's be honest, if the whole point of what we did with France was to prop up certain industries and to buy seats, well, welcome to the way the real world works.
100%, Paul. I think the night we first spoke about this with Andrew Wallace, who was very impressive with his knowledge of the production schedules in the US, I said this is about warfare, not welfare, and the fact that Pyne and Turnbull dug us into this contract clearly with an eye to sprinkling largesse around marginal seats in South Australia. Bad luck to people who've bought into that model. I'm sorry. This is too important to allow it to be about industrial welfare in the Rust Belt. It's about getting hulls into the water as soon as possible. And I was relieved to hear Peter Dutton canvassing, as he did on this network last week as well, I think, that he was open to leasing boats to speed this up. He's got a weather eye on this, and I'm impressed with his decisions. I'm not for one moment derogating the pain those subcontractors feel. Some of them are smaller to medium enterprises, but if you've hitched your wagon to Naval Group and this French deal, then you're just going to have to suck it up. I'm sorry. This is public money and it is the national interest, both of which supersede industrial welfare to marginal seats in South Australia.
Yeah, agree completely. Also, we learned today about apparently some frayed relationships that may exist between Angus Campbell and Peter Dutton. What do you know of that? And obviously, we know that Angus Campbell's a bloke who has, not exactly covered himself in the world's greatest set of glory, particularly in his attitude towards allegations out of Afghanistan. Yeah.
Look, Paul, this story's been simmering around for a while. And, it's interesting that it broke in the 9 newspapers, and the two journalists there are the ones currently engaged in litigation with BRS, so they managed to dredge up one unnamed serving general supporting Campbell, the Australia Defence Association, which routinely falls into lockstep behind the chain of command. But the fact is, I can assure you, having spoken to senior members of the government, this bloke has lost the confidence of the government. He had initially been offered a 2-year extension to his term. That was because of the work he'd done on sovereign borders, and he'd made an impression on the current Prime Minister, who does actually reward people with loyalty until he has to cut them loose. And we saw that with Christian Porter last week. But this guy is a dead man walking, and I've got that on very, very good authority from veterans within the government, including those who have the ear of the minister. There is truth to the fact relations are frayed, and he's been rolled on very substantial decisions. If he could read the room, I would have thought he'd have walked, quite frankly. The reinstatement of the meritorious unit citation, that was collective punishment, terrible blunder on his part. The releasing of the Crompverts report simultaneously, contemporaneously with Brereton, left us wide open to that absurd wolf warrior charge about the alleged slitting of a kid's throat. Even Andrew Hastie, who is giving evidence on behalf of 9 newspapers, was furious about that decision, as was the general who commissioned the Crompverts report. So everything Campbell has touched since the release of Brereton has Midas touch in reverse. And look, he's lost the confidence of the troops. I get a lot of traffic out of the West. Both he and Rick Burr, the Chief of the Army, are well and truly on the nose with the Sandy Beret community. I think his time's up, frankly, Paul. So there is weight to that story, and I've confirmed it by talking to people who are impeccably sourced. He's got no friends on the Hill, I can assure you.
Yep, I agree and echo everything you just said. Thank you so much, Catherine. Lovely to talk to you, mate.
Always.
She's the best, isn't she? Catherine McGregor, who you can see on Friday nights here on Sky News.